Are we far away? Oh no, we aren't. I am a member of this channel. Oh.
What sort of justice system do we have in this country? Well, they'll jail a man for contempt of court for over a year for sticking up for his own beliefs, whether you agree with them or not. Then letting a fully grown man go practically scot-free that's just after beating a woman to within an inch of her life and showing no remorse. I'm only catching up on the Natasha O'Brien case.
I don't think you have
but make it
right
fucking
on
sense.
top of it today.
Okay.
What sort of a message and example is this setting to the young people of the country? What a proverbial kick in the teeth it is to the majority of young people in this country that's socialising on these streets every week. Fuck me in this country, you'll do jail time for not paying a TV licence. They'll send a man to jail in Tipperary for trying to live on his own land. Where's the Justice Minister? Where's the justice? Common sense is clearly not that common in this country anymore. You know?
We are live.
Oh wow. That took me by surprise, Chris.
How?
Was that the intro, the video?
Yeah.
Oh, very good. You're getting very technical.
We're trying to
we're a bit later than
trying
stated,
to add a few
but
bells and whistles, my friend.
very good, very good. We are back on the Dead Hedgehogs for the first time in about 2 weeks now, 2 week and a half. I was doing a bit of travelling. First of all,
it's been a busy week and a half. I was hoping to catch you while you were in London.
yes, but things didn't work out that way, and I'll explain that over the next period of time. Firstly, thank you everyone for tuning in. Anyone that's already tuned in, anyone that's watching this later on, thank you very much for watching it later on.
Dilbert's in the chat.
Dilbert's in the chat. I am here, Stephen Kelly. I am with Chris the Sledgehammer Gavigan. And thank you very much for tuning in to another Dead Hedgehogs YouTube Live, where we have lots of things to talk about. Lots and lots of things to talk about. Eamonn Ryan stepping down as the Green Party leader. We have the Natasha O'Brien case to talk about. We have Mayo's demise to talk about at the weekend.
That'll be fun.
That'll be fun. We have Bonfire Night to talk about. My traditions in Bonfire Night.
You're a bit of a pyrotechnic, as we.
I do. I love fire. I love burning. I do. I love burning, and I've always been the bonfire master. I'm the bonfire master in my village, and I love traditions. I love traditions like that. There was something else I wanted to talk about as well. Oh, today being the hottest day of the year on record. It didn't feel that way.
On record?
On.
Oh, for the year. Oh, right, yeah. I was like, whoa. It didn't feel that hot now.
And what was the fifth thing? Sixth thing? Something else I wanted to talk about there.
The gigs come up?
London. Yeah,
London.
London itself. And the Euros maybe as well.
Gigs?
So, gigs as well, yeah. We'll talk about the gigs too. Firstly, we get into Eamonn Ryan stepping down. Why did he step down? Why are all
He wants to hang out with you.
He wants to hang out with me, does he?
That's what he wants to.
I'm sure
he
he
doesn't
does.
have the time at the moment.
I can see me and Eamonn Ryan having the best fucking crack.
I bet you would.
Because I do actually get on with everyone, even if I take the piss out of him. He's not stepped down as
a TD.
Yeah, he's still there.
But neither did Leo Varadkar.
But
it's such a handy fucking number.
I can feel them slipping away into the European echelons later on in the year or next year or whatever like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a bit of a surprise. Where did it come from? Where did it go?
It's
Is
like
it the bad?
to be honest, it was so inconsequential. I didn't care at all.
That is true. At the end of the day, they're only holding they're only the numbers that are holding the no, actually that's wrong. They have made a lot of decisions. They've made the government make a lot of decisions.
They're forcing the government to do fuck all in a way, and like they're holding like do you know who was on national radio during the week was Michael O'Leary.
Yeah,
and he was saying how they sent in a proposal to the government and to the Department of Transport, which they obviously have to work closely with. Yeah. And they said that he was saying that it's impossible. It's impossible to do it with the Green Party. Like one thing that he was talking about was the capacity of Dublin Airport. And it was like 30 million passenger cap at the moment. They built a second runway since 2007. When that regulation came in, and the idea of that cap of 30 million was that they were thinking if it goes over 30 million, then it would be impossible to get to Dublin Airport. The M50 wouldn't be able to hold it, which isn't true. Which we all know that isn't true now.
Yeah,
and they were saying that the planning regulations are holding back the country.
100%.
When they can effectively take twice as many passengers. And
you'd say something if Shannon took the surplus of that, but people, there's nothing in the problem is there's no infrastructure around Shannon. Shannon is just a nice airport to get to the west, maybe to Limerick. It's getting closer to Cork, but the road from Cork to Dublin is that good that I don't think it makes any difference at this stage.
Not really. Like one thing they should be looking at is that as the price of housing becomes so astronomical in the city, like it's natural for people to go further and further out. So the infrastructure around the city, like the M50 is almost at, no, I wouldn't say it's at capacity, but it will be at capacity in a couple of years if they don't do another ring road.
Yeah.
That goes north, maybe as far as Balbriggan, and do another big infrastructure project.
Eventually, the city or the suburbs of the city will reach Balbriggan.
Yeah, 100%.
So I've no doubt about that. Dilbert, I thought you were stuck on the Matrix there, starting to wonder if you lads are fecking AI.
Sometimes I feel like artificial intelligence, but I'm not.
Sometimes I wish I was. Liam Murphy, what is the crack, Liam? Hope you are well. I was over in London there.
You were?
Liam is in Birmingham. James Curry says, how are the two men? We're pretty good. It's a bit late. We're a bit tired, but we'll power through. This is the first of hopefully.
Good. We haven't got a chance to hang out ourselves.
No, we haven't.
The last week or two.
Like I said, I was over in London.
You fucking left me. All the boys up and left.
But who's going to take over now as Green Party leader?
I don't know. There's two in the running for. I can't even remember who.
To be honest, I think after the next general election, which has to be
fucked,
which has to be used.
Darren Boyle goes two AI bulls. That's good.
AI bulls going around the town, inseminating the town.
Love it.
Yeah, I can see after the next general election, which has to be before next April, by the way.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
I can see the Green Party getting completely annihilated. Eamonn Ryan made a statement before the local elections and said that the Green Party have a massive chance of having a Green Party member representing the Green Party in every council.
Yeah.
in Ireland. They don't even have they don't even have a Green Party member in every council in the town.
No.
So what the fuck's he talking about? He's away with the fairies. One thing I am going to miss about Eamonn Ryan is his comedic like content.
Do you know what I might do? I might while you're chatting there about Eamonn Ryan, I might look up on YouTube here his greatest hits.
Like the man said that in a village, we could 30 people could be sharing the same car.
Yeah.
How in the and he said that on national TV. How in the holy fuck? Like 2 people sharing a car is hard enough. Can you you know the arguments? You know the arguments that there would be in a house if there was 2 people sharing the one car, right? And if someone is late, don't know what land or what decade or what time in history he's living in, but it's just not viable.
No.
And there's cycle everywhere. He doesn't cycle everywhere himself.
How could he?
Thirdly, that might be okay in the city where there's bicycle lanes and it's not that far as the bird or as the crow flies to get places. But if you're in Castlebar and you need to get to Ballina, it's not an easy cycle for someone that doesn't cycle.
No.
I mean, it's ridiculous shite talk like that. And we should all be growing lettuces.
I think the lettuces was good. That was
another one. We should all be growing lettuces.
And we'll be painting
our south
facing. We'll paint the boxes on our windowsills.
What good is it? First of all, even if everyone in the country grew lettuces on the windowsills, what the fuck? What good is a head of lettuce? Yeah. And how long would a head of lettuce last? The daft prick.
All right, let me put this up. Let's watch this. Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on this because this is going to be good.
Oh yeah, I'm falling asleep in the doll is brilliant as well. Not in the doll in. Can people see this now?
Yeah.
Minister Eamonn Ryan.
Minister Eamonn Ryan.
Minister Eamonn Ryan.
Jesus.
Look at him there.
Oh my God.
It gets better, you know. Do you know what? They look comfy now. Whoever was talking before him must have been funny. Like they must have been thinking, what the fuck? Eamonn Ryan brings his rubbish to the doll. Let's have a look at this.
Eamonn Ryan.
Thank you very much, Concorda. After last night's debate, Concorda, on waste bill, I went home to our own house, looking at what we were doing at home, and in the cupboard where we put waste before it goes into the bin.
Now, look, he's got a Green Party recyclable bag.
Yeah.
So fair play to him.
Yeah.
He's flying it.
I'm sure everyone's had the expression, I opened up the cupboard and suddenly an avalanche of stuff comes out to you.
An avalanche of stuff.
Oh.
We drowned in terms of plastics.
We're in the houses of Parliament on national television.
Polypropylene.
That's not allowed.
Polyethylene.
Look at his face.
Yeah,
look at his face here. He's so desperate. He's like, this cunt again.
Yeah, it's. What was he trying to prove? Like, it's a small bag in the plastic. Should we all have plastic? If things were made in paper, I'd buy them in paper, but they're not.
There's no point of order.
There's no point of order on leaving your shite in the Houses of Parliament.
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what he was trying to achieve there. He was just proving that he's a small bag of rubbish. Absolutely ridiculous.
It's amazing.
And it gets sent out. Some of this stuff gets sent out to other countries, and they fucking dump it into the sea anyway.
Of course.
So, which is ridiculous.
Which
I'm not an advocate for. Like, I hate pollution. I am not saying that everyone should go around polluting. I hate litter. Littering and dumping stuff is completely different to what he's talking about. I hate to see people throwing stuff on the ground, or like there's bins for a reason, but we have to get rid of it some way or another.
Yeah.
In a practical way. This thing about the returning the bottles and the plastic bottles and cans is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a few people that have really, really structured lives and really have nothing better to be at.
Yeah.
But that's not the life for general people these days. People don't have that time.
Yeah, I like.
But
Now, in
you're
fairness,
not
your
gonna-
your
you're-
mother is having a great time collecting.
She is, but she's just doing it just for something to do, and see how far she can get.
She might get
But
the
problem
price.
is,
She might get the price of a pint of it.
the problem is that the whole garage is taken up with bags of fucking plastic, and eventually, I know exactly what's going to happen. Eventually, I'm surprised it didn't get thrown
Thrown
into
in the bin, in the fire.
into
Yeah,
the bonfire yesterday. To be quite honest with you,
fucking. Yeah,
very surprised it didn't get burnt in the fire yesterday.
yeah, she wouldn't like that. We go to some of the comments. Liam Murphy says, "I imagine turf sales have gone through the roof." Well, it's been a bit of a weird couple of
That's another
weeks
thing.
weather anyway. So
Yeah, but that's another thing.
can I get this?
People
turf
are still
up?
cutting turf. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like a rule that everyone is kind of bar board and Amona.
But like, yeah, like, well, maybe.
Down the west, there the people have still cut turf.
Oh yeah, should we cut turf? Like
Yeah.
again, it's an affordable fuel, in comparatively speaking. Like.
Yeah,
And I think compared at the end of the day, comparatively, the amount of turf that's burnt in this country compared to the likes of these big corporations that are actually doing the majority of the pollution.
oh, it's ridiculous.
You
Like
know,
Ireland is so small in the grand scheme of polluters in the world.
we're ineffective.
miraculous.
Yeah.
Ineffective. We're like microscopic. When you see with the pollution that China, India, America, Russia.
And as you said, no one wants to see some mad amounts of pollution, or no one wants to see sewage going into rivers
no one
or
wants
any
to
of
see
that
that.
shit.
Of course not.
But we just have to be. At the end of the day, who's really paying for this?
Yeah.
Who's getting away with blue murder? Who's paying for this? And it's me and you. It's the average man on the street.
Yeah,
And-
and in so many different stealth taxes and carbon taxes and just tax after tax in different forms, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And as well, I was in London. The amount of wealth, that is in some of these cities, especially the financial districts, is obscene.
Well, and
So
that
it is.
and they're not taxed,
And they're not, yeah.
particularly
Oh,
not
yeah.
taxed, and they get away with murder, but like they know how to game the system.
Yeah. Plus, as well, these are the people that are making the rules up to suit themselves.
Yeah, of course. You know, EMXC says Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and Labour in the pact together for the next election. I don't think so.
And Labour, I think they tried that
I
before,
th-
didn't
and,
they?
yeah, Labour's been in with Fianna Fáil
Fianna-
and they got fucking decimated for the last 15,
Yeah.
20 years since. I'd say that Labour will build a coalition with Sinn Féin.
Do you think?
Yeah,
Wow, that would be a
a major change.
major change.
I think that's what I think that's what the natural. Well, I think they're natural allies anyway.
And I also think that Sinn Féin have to do a complete U-turn and a lot of work to gain back that the people.
But
that,
like,
they've
think of
hardened fans have left them like
yeah, but like
or followers or whatever.
I think
you wanna call them.
I think there's a lot of fly-by-night followers that went to quite. I don't want to be derogatory or anything, but like they're going towards very specific type candidates.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? They're not your typical. They might have been your typical Sinn Féiners a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
but they're not really the modern Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin is more centrist, more left leaning, socially. On social.
Do you
progress.
think that the independent groups, and I know that's an
oxymoron,
the independent groups.
I don't think they'll have enough in.
But do you think they've taken the surplus that Sinn Féin had? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think they'll.
It's like they're taking the majority that Sinn Féin had, and now they have to.
Yeah, I don't think they had all the majority of that Sinn Féin had, but I think they had some of the disenfranchised vote. But I don't think it's as big for the general election. I think that Sinn Féin could do actually very well in the next general election.
Yeah, they could do.
Because if you look at the last local because look, what do local elections really look like? You vote for local candidates more so than party politics. And Sinn Féin don't have enough of an infrastructure across the country to cover themselves off in every council.
Which they should have learned from the last general election.
But I don't think they can. I think that's a slow burner. I think Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil have candidates that just run election cycle after election cycle, and then you know them, and you know that they're going to do a certain amount. I was talking to someone who's very influential in Fine Gael, and he said that Swinford Town losing not getting any councillor through, be it Sinn Féin, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, will lose about €1 million over the cycle of being the council.
And that's why every vote counts in your constituency.
Local candidate here lost by one vote.
One vote.
Technically 0.6 of a vote.
Yeah.
So you look at the way that party politics works, right? It doesn't really matter on a local level. You're only concerned about having someone local that's going to a certain degree.
I understand, but it's an indicator, though.
Yeah, it's an indicator. But if you look at the last local and European election, Sinn Féin got decimated. They had the worst run of results. Then a couple of weeks later, they had their best ever general election.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, that'll be
to see next year.
Up for debate. As far as I can see, the quicker the better. And that way, then we'll know where the country, because this will be one of the most hotly fought ones. And
one thing I'll say about the
kind
independents,
of
you're kind of right. Do you know who the real winner of all these independence groups coming out? Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. Yeah. Biggest winner by far is not having a consolidated vote behind Sinn Féin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The only way to get Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael out is to vote Sinn Féin.
Yeah.
Or Labour, that left leaning.
I don't
think
think Labour are there yet, even though I know that they've a couple of very good candidates,
and they've got a good leader, Roger O'Gorman. He won an MEP seat. He in a really tightly fought election. So you got to hand it to him. That's fucking not easy, So we'll
see. That will be, and I'm sure we'll be chatting about it a lot.
I'm not saying that I'd be a supporter. I wish that there was a really good Labour Party.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, one of Ireland's greatest ever men, James Connolly,
who was
a Labour man. He was a socialist.
Yeah.
And anyone that says that he's not a great man because he was a socialist doesn't know anything about the country, because he died for this country. He was the working man's candidate. Now, it's a different world to what he was in the 1920s.
Yeah,
but
a far different world.
But
the people still want the same things. It's the whole system has changed.
The system of government that look, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are I think that there's a real concern that there won't be any change from them.
Yeah. And another thing, as far as I'm concerned, they're two ends of the same fucking.
They might as well be in bed together now. Yeah. The only way that they get in, one is not going to decimate the other. One's not going to dominate like years ago and get. They will go in together.
Which years ago it was either one or the other.
Yes.
Now the two of them have. They're as well have to amalgamate.
Yeah.
And that's if they go into another. If they end up having the majority and they go into another. Coalition. They're as well to merge.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. Because there's no opposition then. There's no real opposition. Sinn Féin were the opposition, and then they're as well to go into bed with them as well.
Yeah,
have a right threesome.
Well, Sinn Féin. I think Sinn Féin are thrown in with them two parties, but they've never had power. So you can't You don't know what they're going to do and what their program of government's going to look like. They've never done that.
Would a change of leader make a difference?
I think Pierce Darty coming through as leader would get them over the line.
Yeah, maybe.
I think
Maybe. I think he would too. And I liked Mary Lou McDonald years ago.
She had a horn for her.
I really like Mary Lou McDonald. I had this like.
And I'd say you
McDonald.
had a bit of a stiffy when you heard Eamon Ryan was gone.
I did.
I'd say you were like a little chubber. You're like, yes, I'm gonna get some belting content out of this.
A stiff breeze would have finished me off.
I bet.
I was in London when I got the news, and I was like above any time. So, but I managed to get a little bit of content out there, and I'm sure I will in the future.
You should have done a video saying that I drove to London in a monster truck when I heard that Eamon Ryan was gone.
Yeah, I was burning bonfires last night, just in his memory. I was setting fires that weren't even my bonfires. I was burning people's trees and everything.
Yeah,
and they were still in the ground.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that you tried to burn the place to the ground.
That is true. And I've done that twice in my life. I've had a couple of arson incidents, which sounds bad, but they're like burning
good
bogs.
crack.
They were great crack. What I mean by that, I explained that before anyone starts ringing the cops. Twice I burnt the bogs down when I was a young fella, because I was trying to burn a patch. I don't know if I mentioned this in one of the live streams before.
Might have mentioned it a couple of years ago in one of these. Tell the people.
I wanted to burn a patch of bog. We had a bog up behind us, and practically it wasn't used for turf anymore. It was used for like not stray horses, but horses that weren't up too much. Just let it roam around in the fields, or donkeys, or asses, or.
Was this before the bypass was there?
This is before the bypass was there. Yeah.
Wow. So you're going way back.
Yeah, well, way back. And the thing about it is the course fire could have went on for ages.
Yeah.
See, now the bypass is the
we contained it. Yeah.
So then like you're talking as far as Kelchima.
All for a game of football.
It's only about 9 kilometers of a stretch.
Like, you're not that far from town. There's a pitch in town.
I wanted to make my own pitch. And I wanted to burn this patch of ground, myself and Johnny Holleran actually. But anyway, it got out of hand, but it kind of didn't burn in the direction I wanted it to burn. It burned up the hill instead of in the flat bit that I wanted. So I wasn't content with that.
So you did it again, did you?
I did it again, but this time I waited until it got really hot. like a 2 week spell.
How old were you when you started going through this arson phase?
30. No. Let me see. I think the time that I really burnt it down was 1995, and I don't give a shite, but I remember 1995 proper summers. And it was 3 months of pure sunshine.
Yeah.
And proper Irish old type summer.
Yeah.
We've never got a summer like that since. And anyone that says that, like, that's another thing, that today was meant to be the hottest day of the year in Ireland so far, absolute horseshite.
I thought yesterday was hard.
They're just making up fucking numbers at this stage.
Got burnt.
Yeah, my young fella got burnt as well, and I didn't think it was that hot.
He must have been doing a bit of work as well, was he?
Well, he was out doing the.
He was burning. Burning the house down.
But anyway, I waited.
Like
it was
father,
really,
like son.
It was really crisp and it was really dry, and for some reason I wanted to burn it. But again, I thought I could control it. I thought if I got control of it, I would.
You're an ambitious young lad,
right? But quickly it got out of control. When I say quickly, I mean I'm talking inside a minute. It just went foof, and. The thing is, the fire was between me and the house.
Yeah.
And by now, in this particular bog, someone had dumped a car or two as well.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, like there were dumped cars. And the fire was heading towards...
the cars.
The cars as well. So there could have been petrol in the tanks. I don't know. Whatever. They're just, giving up on these cars. And there was a couple of cars dumped in the bog. And
there used to be a lot of dumping in those bogs.
There was. You see, remember as well that was beside the county dump.
Yeah.
And the county dump was still on at the time as well. But these cars were just dumped as well.
Some were free to dump them.
Some were free to dump them. Eventually, I'm sure that they were going to get buried. Well,
Yeah.
leave it to me. Leave it to me. No need to bury them.
Let's burn them out.
Let's burn them out. So eventually it got so out of control. I knew that I couldn't, and I knew that my father was working close by as well,
And he would have seen the
he
smoke.
would have seen the thing. Next thing, my father landed. Michael John landed, one of the neighbours. There was a few other people there as well. They were looking up,
Did you do a legger?
probably wondering. There was nowhere for me to go. I had
So you're caught red rotten,
other than keep kind of running towards Kelshima. And at the time, you're a young fella. I was afraid of getting lost. You would have got lost if you kept trying to avoid the fire. So I made a conscious decision that I'm either going to get lost and keep going, or I'm going to have to run through the fire,
right?
To escape it. So eventually I plucked up the courage that I'm going to just run through the fire. Right? And remember, that bog turf burns like white smoke.
Yeah.
There's no real dark dark
but
smoke.
it's fucking. It can
or
get
black smoke.
once it gets in your lungs, you'll be coughing for fucking ages.
So I took a breath, took a run, jumped over but the only saving grace is that coarse grass and bog fire. It's not
intense heat.
It's not intense heat.
Yeah.
As in. Once it burns quickly.
Yeah.
So it burns in a line, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So it's not like I had to run through the fire for meters. As long as I got through it without catching fire, I was sound. But I remember running through the fire, and when I got to it and through the smoke, all I could see was my father, Michael John, probably the Forkins, a few others as well, just waiting for me. See, they didn't know that I had set the first fire. No, they knew I'd set the first one. They didn't know that I'd set the second one until I burst through the flames. The fire brigade were called and everything. I had to hide out, up in my grandmother Kelly's, I think, for a few days.
Oh God. So they all knew that you fucking set two fires.
Yeah, they all knew that I'd
set. The fire brigade came out.
And I think now they told me that my parents had to pay for the fire brigade. I don't know. I don't know about that.
The call out fee was big enough now.
Oh, the call out fee.
Yeah, like
that's why would you be arse calling out of fire these days? You get the person that calls gets charged.
Yeah, 100%.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, 100%. Should unfortunately there was a fire in the old Hardy Buck's house in Buzz's cottage.
Yes.
And I got a phone call about it, right? And I was like, I'm not fucking ringing the fire brigade.
Yeah.
And they were like, he goes, well, it's on fire in front of me. I was like,
it's like €1,500.
He's like, you can fucking go sing. I'm not paying for the fucking call.
I don't think I'd call the fire brigade if it was my own house was burning.
Well, they know who set that fire.
But and the thing is, I said a little story today as well that I used to. Since I can remember, since 5 or 6 years of age, I used to be the one that gathering up the stuff for a bonfire. Now, obviously, when you're that young, it's only going to be a small fire. But I'd spend the whole of the summer holidays since I started school, gathering up bits. I'd have my little spot that I'd picked out. Every year, it was in a different spot. It was either up in my grandmother's house or near it, or in one of John's fields. Or close enough to my house.
Do you imagine how much Eamonn Ryan would be crying at hearing this story? Oh my God,
yeah.
He'd be whinging. He'd be whinging and wanking.
They were the traditions. They were the traditions.
What, setting fires?
St. John's was a bond. No, not setting fire to the bogs, but and I loved the traditions. But anyway, as I got older and a bit stronger, the bonfires.
You could put out the fires you lit.
They were legendary.
Yeah, well, remember we did a podcast on this.
We did actually.
And after, obviously we started pretty late as usual, and after about half an hour on the podcast, you can see that there's actually fuck all light left.
Yeah.
And there's all there is smoke. We're just choking our way.
That was actually one of the best lives that we ever did.
That was such crack.
Pete was on fire that night as well. Pardon the pun.
We'll go through some of these conversation pieces here. So Green Party are just 5k radius party of Dáil Éireann. They don't have a clue about Ireland outside that radius. Yeah, they're the
100%, James.
leafy suburbs of South
100%.
Dublin. That's all they give a shit about. That's all they'll have. All they'll really ever have. You might have some soft cunts in big cities, and that's about it.
But that seems to be a lot of these politicians. They seem to be in a radius around Dublin, and they have no clue about the rest of the country.
Well, so Liam Murphy says, "Where's his constituency?" It's one of the South Dublin constituencies.
Oh yeah,
I think
South
it's.
Dublin. Is it
Is
Dunleary?
it Knockline? I think it's Knockline.
Oh, maybe it is.
But yeah, it's in Dublin anyway.
And
I
think it was the only constituency that voted
Green.
and that voted yes for the mother referendum.
Yeah. But they were pushing that in a big way. Like Dilbert, that claim to be worried about our women and children and have no opinion or voice about that particular incident, just found that interesting. The particular incident, are you talking about the Crotty case with Natasha O'Brien? Natasha O'Brien? Is that her surname?
Natasha O'Brien, yeah.
At the week of last Friday, was it?
Can you explain that, Dilbert? I kind of lost what you there.
Yeah. Liam Murphy, it's all concerning connecting to the grid. They don't want us to be self-sufficient. Yeah. Well, it's all like Ireland is.
It's impossible to be self-sufficient.
Well, Ireland is the second most centralized country in Europe. So centralized. Like, this is the problem with, say, our local government. It has very little power, even in terms of like zoning or planning or anything like that. All of that is shipped up to Dublin. So say you want to, say the county council want to zone a land for public housing. Mm-hmm. They want to expand Castlebar by 10,000 houses, all social housing, all council houses. Give people an opportunity to buy at market rates, low cost. They can't do that without sign off from central government, and they won't sign that off because they've got a plan to do that on a national scale, but only if you use contractors that they want to using. You know, there's no national construction company. Mm-hmm. So that means that there's no one going out there picking up the work. You can tender for the work. You can have.
I know it's tendered out, but is there a national construction company in other countries?
Yeah. If loads of the Scandinavian countries have national, they've like, look at Norway. They have a national oil company that gives every citizen can claim a dividend.
Okay.
That you can cash out now. Some of their, it's almost like I think it's the biggest.
You see, the
pension
problem
fund.
with having a national construction company in Ireland is it'll eventually get absolutely corrupt.
Well, this is the whole point. You have to have public oversight, and you have to have mechanisms that you can make it corrupt. So if you look at Norway, and the way they created Statoil, which is obviously state oil.
Yes. And
if you look at their model for that and how they're from the 60s.
I am 40 years old when I realized that Statoil.
Yeah.
I never even checked. Of course it is Statoil.
Yeah. Now that's not called, they're not called Statoil anymore or whatever, but like, and the way that they're set up is that 30% or 25% is private owned company, and then the rest is into. And what they do is, when they find oil, Statoil is the company that has the exploration rights. So the country has that.
Was it Statoil that the rights were given to off?
Yeah. So they wanted to they were given exploration rights off the coast of Mayo and the coast of Cork, and then our government were in the 80s. In the 80s, they were trying to. There was a Labour coalition with Fine Gael, and the one of the ministers there, Minister for Energy or whatever, he wanted to replicate that model, and they started it, and then Fianna Fáil 4 or 5 years later come in and decimate that idea. So
just in case we make a few pounds in the
this is the problem, that when you have a 4-year cycle, so at the moment Michael O'Leary's complaining.
Can go up to 5 year, can't it?
Yeah. So, but if you've got that 4 or 5 year cycle, you're never going to have a company that's going to do the long term good for the country, because, well, 4 years time they're going to fuck that idea out the road.
Yeah.
So you can't. It'll never work in Ireland.
There are certain things that need to be ring fenced.
Yes. So it's like maybe
so that it has to be followed through.
Like there should be a national infrastructure plan that takes 30 years, and you can't, with public funds and public good, and even if it is a civil service plan, but like what's happening now is every time there's an election cycle, they're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And they go, well, we'll put in our own ideas. There'll be better ideas. And it's flip-flopping from Fine Gael to Fianna Fáil. So it's the same bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
But they never... But like
that's what I always thought as well. What is the point in setting all these rules and regulations and ideas, and next thing a government in 4 years' time to come in and completely undo the work, any good work that has been done. So it's ridiculous.
So Fianna Fáil basically pulled the rug out of that idea of Ireland creating a state-owned oil exploration company that would have given us the same opportunities long term.
They believe that there's enough oil off the coast of Mayo to pay for the entire country for 50 years.
Well, we wouldn't have been... let's put it this way: we would have made enough money. We would have never seen the Troika come in.
That's right.
We would have never seen the bailout from the government that way. We would have been able to pay our way, and that means that, like, the stealth taxes that they put in from that day in 2009, like the PRSI, the PSI levies and all that, they're massive amounts of tax that are being extracted from
the country, and we would not have needed them if we had
our own resources.
And the thing is,
fisheries is the same.
Oh yeah, we've discussed that even with Michelle Smith when she was there.
There is a problem that we're giving away too much.
And we always have. And for what reason and why? You'd have to ask yourself why. Who's benefiting from it?
Well, we know
personal gain.
Well, we know who's benefiting. Corporations are benefiting this country.
Plus, there's personal gain.
And we know what's going to happen if Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael win the next election cycle. Corporations are going to gain. Like it's easy.
If Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael win the next general election, what is the point in having general elections? Because if they keep just setting it up for themselves that they're going to win,
at the end of the day, they've got a consolidated base. They're always going to vote that way, and you can see in the last election cycle when you fracture a potential voting split, like, and they're voting the Freedom Party or the Independent or Sinn Féin or whatever, when you fracture that vote away from one consolidated opposition, you'll never affect Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. They will always win.
Unless there's like a mass like mental change.
But that's where you're talking about a populist uprising, and populist uprisings have been equally bad as been equally good.
I think because there's such a massive populist uprising and it's so fractured, there's so many different parties now, and so many different group of independents, once again to use that term.
Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil win.
Exactly. So unless there's a strong opposition party or group of people, and it has to be very strong, and I think that the independent party this time around, or any of these independent groups, I think they've came a little late for the next general election. Does that make sense?
Well, they won't have a consolidated base of support. And
from this hopefully they'll build on it. It just means that we have to wait another 4 or 5 years.
The other thing is, there's no way if they want
as much as I want them to. There's some great people in it,
but like you know that you're going to get some headbangers being snuck into the mix just to be because being elected attracts some absolute cunts.
Yeah.
So you'll see a Michael Lowry, who was like a scam artist.
Yeah.
That's really what he was.
Yeah.
And
He
like
was Tipperary, wasn't he?
yeah. And like when you look at what he did to the country years ago.
Again, did he go on the
Well, Liffey Valley was like
did
he
go
got
on
paid.
the Late Late Show and literally put his foot in his mouth?
Yeah, well, that was Pork Flynn.
I know Pork Flynn did.
Yeah.
He went on
But
the
like
Late Late
you
Show.
see at the end
steamed.
of the, at those type of politicians that get so enamored by their own voice.
But the thing about these politicians are they do great things for their own.
That's how
constituency.
you're buying a vote. Yeah.
So they're always going to get in.
And that's how corruption kind of goes through.
Yeah, Pork Flynn done great things for Castlebar.
Yeah.
I know that Michael Lowry done great things for his constituency in Tipperary.
But then
and the Healy Rays.
But then he's screwing over everyone else.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
the Healy Rays are seen as local heroes down there.
Yeah.
But they're not like they're
national have the national interest.
And
which I'm sad because I enjoyed the Healy Rays. Well,
you enjoy watching them saying crazy shit.
yeah. And I know that Jackie was on the podcast as well, and I was disappointed to hear all that they're kind of creaming off.
They've made so much money.
I know it's crazy.
Much money. Like Michael, how can Michael Healy Ray vote against his own interests? He's not going to do that.
No, I know that.
So are you a public representative or are you going to?
Sorry, James Curley, I nearly blocked you there. I was trying to read your message. I didn't realise you can block people on this. There is no strong argumentative opposition common sense party. Yeah, that's what we're just after saying. None that's big enough at the minute. I think time is against any of the other parties to, and I hope I'm wrong, to build a proper opposition. Melanie, Firestarter. Yeah, I just loved burning fires. I'd say when I was younger, I'd say more oil. I siphoned more oil, or ciphered out more oil out of the heating tank at home than actually went into the house itself. I used to get 2-litre Coke bottles. Sometimes you get a milk bottle that'd be shaped just nicely that it'd fit into the hole, and I drop it down. Now I get destroyed. My hands would get destroyed. I drop it down, let it fill up, pull it out, and then I'd use it to burn anything that I needed to be burned.
Fucking unreal.
Around. I just burn everything. I probably burned stuff that didn't need to, was probably useful.
Yeah,
just to see it burn.
Oh well, we know that.
And then when the oil got really low, I used to tie a rope around the top of the cork. Not the cork, but the opening of the bottle. You know how there's a ring around it. I'd tie it tight, and then I'd put it in, and I'd get a stick. And I put it into the bottles to push it down underneath.
Wow.
Yeah, just to get the oil out.
Get everything in.
So I probably cost my parents thousands over the years with burning oil. But again, I hate pollution.
At least we know that they don't bother watching this podcast.
I know. Couldn't be arsed. Column 2,000k fee nowadays.
That's for the call out.
Call out, is it? Wow.
That's insane.
I'd be like, let it burn to fuck. Glad I found your channel, G-Man 1991. Thank you very much. Yeah. Column housing in rural is as bad. 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom in my rural area is going for 470,000 euro. That's insane.
It's insane.
How are you going to get on the ladder with that? 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Bought recently.
But like I said, if we don't improve the infrastructure,
a wealthy dub as a vacation home. Could you give us roughly where that is, Colin? That's an insane amount of money. Meanwhile, local lads like myself can't get planning for family farms, navigating the red tape. That's another thing. Red tape in Ireland is absolutely ridiculous.
But as I said, the more centralised these institutions become, more power that goes to a civil servant in Dublin and becomes faceless.
Yeah.
So it becomes easier for them to reject you.
So, but if that isn't even today or yesterday. I remember trying to get plan permission or inquiring about plan permission in when I was living in Carndulla in Galway. I loved the area. So much.
Yeah.
And I was going out with a girl at the time, and we were thinking about building a house. and
You're going out with the girl.
I was.
Not a lad.
Not a lad.
Wow, that's a shock.
But it'd be a shock if it was. It'd be a shock to me. I remember that like plan permission was impossible. You needed to be, first of all, you needed
because
to be
you were
local.
gay.
No, where's this coming from? I know it's Pride Month and everything.
It's your thing, man.
But it was, what do you call it? You had to be from the area, and you had to get permission from other like locals as well before you even allowed to get plan permission.
Yeah.
I mean, the stipulations were just insane, but they haven't got any easier. Yeah, it's just impossible to get on the ladder these days.
Like you look at it and you're like, but the thing is, if you have a certain amount of local power. So Denmark is a similar sized country to ours, but it say we're
talking to, on my way back from London the last day. I was talking to a fellow, an Irish lad that's working in Denmark. He said there's an awful lot of Irish lads out there now.
Loads. Oh yeah, loads working. I have a friend who's over there at the moment. But what I was saying is that, say if you have a housing crisis across the country, the best way to deal with it is to go council by council, tell us what your plans are, go to the people, and they'll go, well, we need to build a certain amount of housing for this area. If you do it locally, it doesn't feel as bad as a national crisis. Then they go, right, well, there has to be a certain amount of publicly built homes per county. That's how you fix these problems. And then you start looking at, well, can we regenerate some of these towns like Castlebar, Swinford, that you see some decay of these above shopfront housings.
Yeah, but that's that. You don't even have to build new housing. Just there's an awful lot of infrastructure that's just left derelict.
Yeah. So how do
not even derelict? It's just left as a shell.
And you go, how well if we look locally, how can we get to every town working a little bit more functionally?
Yeah.
So if you own a shopfront and above it's been left to ruin, is there a grant you can go to do that up?
Yeah.
Now, are you putting more money in some particularly rich local people's hands? Potentially,
but as long as it benefits the town.
As long as exactly, and
in the long run,
by having more people living in town. Having more people live in town means more restaurants open, more place to eat.
Yes,
more
1000%.
back to yeah.
It's a self-propelled like micro economy.
Yeah,
100%. And we'll get through these because I know that we definitely need to talk about the Natasha O'Brien case. Chris is so knowledgeable. I pretend I didn't read that.
Say that again.
No. Delete that message. You're blocked, Melanie. He is actually. Sometimes he surprises myself.
Wow.
When did you tell her to say that?
I texted her there and I said, Melanie, you say nice things about me.
The judge who let the soldier off without sentence is responsible for sentencing a man for 7 years growing cannabis. I've also heard EMCC that this is his third case very similar to this that he's let go, and I also heard that he's retiring, which is no surprise, next week. And I also heard that he has no daughters, he has 3 sons, so that'll give you an indication of the lack of knowledge he has with dealing with females. But you think being a judge, it'd be 50-50 all his life. But anyway,
the whole thing is like, look, he was the judge that was in charge of the Kyle Hayes.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, he was.
He was, yeah. I think so. I read that earlier on. So, like, he has form. Like, should Kyle Hayes have, like, he beat someone up on the street? Like he faced no consequence.
Yeah. It's who you know. Dilbert says, sorry lads, the message I was trying to get across was split into 2 comments. If you'd like to scroll up, that claim to be worried about our women and children have no opinion and voice about that particular incident. Just found that interesting. I'm still lost a little bit. Maybe
We'll
Maybe it's
circle
me.
around again.
Yeah. Pee-wee flying. Don't know what that means. That is from Solace. On the Wild Atlantic Way coastline. Well, it doesn't get more beautiful like that than that column, and but still, it is a serious
Line of sight and effect on rural aesthetic is the reason that most planning here is denied. No local objections. Apparently, there's one fella in Dublin who does the majority of objections across the country. He just files thousands of complaints a year.
Why?
Like hundreds of thousands. Just because he's one of these just naysayers, doesn't just file like.
I know that you can be in a different country and
100%
and lodge an objection, which I think is just insane.
Yeah.
And
there's lots of there's real ideas that people have to have about the planning. The way that planning is done in Ireland is not fit for purpose. It doesn't give people some sort of autonomy, and you can't vote out people that are doing these planning laws. It's not like it's a democratic thing. These people are in the most secure jobs in the country. Yeah. So, and they don't face any consequence.
Yeah, that's another thing. How do these people get these jobs?
Well,
how do they become?
They're just civil servants. In they might have they might have a degree in town planning or whatever.
I'm sure if you get to know these people, things can open up for you.
Oh, 100%.
Which is there's something wrong there.
But I think the years ago there might have been more power to local authorities, and that's been stripped away over the years, and now it's very centralised in Dublin.
Yeah, well, I think that has to be changed again. Rachel Coyne says something rotten going on
among the judges in Ireland. Again, another class of people that are disconnected from the ordinary
and they
working
seem
man.
to have this air of infallibility.
But it's a job for life
around them, and I have always said that judges need to be made accountable as
100%, 100%,
and they need, like, no one is infallible. Everyone has a standard to uphold, and that doesn't seem to be happening.
But there should be a public review process or some sort of process to look at these judges and how they're affected.
You have to be judged on your performance.
Look, we all have certain biases. We all have a blind spot, no matter what. And that's why, like, when we have these conversations and we have differences of opinion, we're always trying to get to a point where we're listening to each other and we're not talking. That's why, say 6 months ago, we were in some really heated arguments. Me, you, and Morris had some really heated arguments, and I really didn't like that, even though they did amazing numbers, and people love a good fight. But personally, I didn't like it because I just felt like what we want to create here is somewhere where everyone's being listened to, and their points are being, and there's something to be learned.
Yeah, and you have, in fairness to you, have proved your knowledge over the last couple of months. Even to me, someone who knows you for a very long time.
Like, but I think there's, like, the fact that there's so many institutions in Ireland that have no accountability. It's a major problem.
That's it, yeah. And there's exactly accountability. The government don't seem to have any accountability. Some of the things that the Irish government have done, if they happened in any other parliament or government, it would be immediate, like, sacking.
Yeah, of course. In
England, in fairness to them, if they get caught on doing something, they resign themselves.
Yeah. There's no shame in this country. Yeah. Like, and the thing is, do you know what the most egregious thing?
They have this attitude that if we give it enough time, people will forget about it.
Well, the report, the way that your man, Cathal Crotty, acted, well, obviously he's a violent thug. He's got a job in the army.
How does someone like that get in? Be allowed into the army? Anyway, look, in saying that, I know that they get into all armies.
At the moment, the Irish Army will take anyone that applies.
Yeah.
The
army, I'm sure that in the army you're taught discipline, you're taught, your principles.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. But that might be an idealized thought of what the army is. To treat
a woman on the street like that. First of all, he was abusing.
Yeah, he was shouting homophobic slurs.
Which is bad enough. I know I do make sketches of pride and all that. But again, you know that it's
tongue in cheek.
It's tongue in cheek completely. I would never go out in the street and start shouting at people.
No, and it's like you don't care what people do.
Of course not. As long as they're happy and they're not affecting anyone else and they're not doing anything wrong to anyone else or upsetting me or my family, I couldn't give a shit what they're doing. But to actually go out and actively,
your man's just a thug, and he was looking for attention. I don't know what happened. I'm just on the basis of the story that I've heard. He was shouting homophobic slurs. She said she was very brave. Mm-hmm. She told him to stop.
Yeah,
and asked him
again. She was a complete. Just a stranger to him.
Yeah, passed her by on the street, asked him not to be shouting, and he violently attacked her, knocked her out cold, and then started punching her on the ground. Just by the grace of God that someone else intervened, a man intervened on her behalf, and he ran off.
Yeah,
and then when the guards arrested him, he said that she abused him.
But before the guards arrested him, he was bragging on Snapchat.
That's right.
He said one of his quotes was, two to put her down,
and two to put her out.
Two to put her out, which is disgraceful.
It's disgusting.
Like, you could not forgive, but you could kind of comprehend someone that would do something like that with drink or drugs fueled, and then later on go, oh, you know what, Jesus Christ, what an idiot I was. I am so sorry I done that.
But that would be the normal.
That would be the normal thing.
Yeah.
But to actually brag about it.
Yeah, like, and the thing is, people, like, there will be 100%. There'll be lads watching this, and they might know him, or they might have brothers, and they're like, yeah, your man got a bit out of hand, and they might have made excuses for the lads. There is no fucking excuse. We grew up with you could never hit a girl. That was the thing. You cannot hit a girl.
No,
and
not 100%.
That goes without saying. Like we might have all been in scrapes here and there. As you grow up, you'd look back at them. It's not a cool thing to do.
No.
And like all those little scrapes that I've been in over my life, I regret them now. There's no need for them. Mm-hmm. And I'm disgusted at that lad's behaviour, and that even yesterday. Yeah,
listen, I'd walk 500 miles to avoid
to hear his father come out, and say that it was all the media's fault that he could be fired from. No, his behaviour was abhorrent and absolutely disgusting, and he deserves to be inside. And the people that went out and protested, especially the women that went out and supported that girl, fair play.
The thing is, he had so many chances to redeem himself.
Just by being honest.
Just by being honest, and then putting his hand up and like begging for forgiveness.
But he's
or
gamed
whatever.
the system. Like he would never have come. He would have never told the truth if the CCTV footage wasn't shown to him.
Then he was banged to
he's banged to rights. He knew that, and yet he still got away with it. It's fucking disgusting.
And Dilbert says, I found it interesting that some of those protesting immigration to protect our women and children haven't said F all about the soldier case. I don't know about that, Dilbert.
Well, I one thing I'll say about that is all of that stoked up.
But today, a foreign national assaulted, or last night, assaulted a Canadian tourist in Dublin, and he's fighting for his life, and there's been very little about that too. At the end of the day, it shouldn't be about what nationalities, and we know there's a massive immigration problem. I've brought it up 100 times in my videos, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't be happening on our streets, full stop.
Yeah, and the other side of that is that you're right. I would say you're right that it doesn't. That
and I know that in cities these things do happen. They shouldn't be happening as much. And one thing isn't used to this.
One thing that he's right there. It doesn't fit the narrative of that right hand side to go after this young lad that was in the army that beat up a girl. That's not it. And you'd start wondering where. I think there's a lot of funding coming from conservative America that props up these kind of nasty rhetoric about immigration. And
but
I think
also,
that
but also
fuels
on the flip side of that, and this is where me and you kind of not argue about, but have a bone of contention about. I also think there's a group on the left hand side pushing back the other way, and trying to blame anyone that isn't following their agenda as far right. I mean, I've been accused of being far right. You know, I'm not far right.
Yeah, well,
anyone that knows me knows that I'm not.
Yeah,
far
like
right.
I agree with you, and the whole point
tattooed on my arse is completely, for the crack. No, that's a joke.
But I did see Zeke Highland, but anyway, no, it was not true. But no, you're right, and how we get past that nonsense that you're far right is by having these conversations on a public platform in a place where you could just speak freely.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that the money that comes in to prop up those kind of causes, where is it coming from, and what does it really want to do? The reason though that it doesn't fit their narrative to be vocal about that Carl Crotty, but
I do think it's
universal though.
It's a separate issue as well, in my opinion. And I do think that there was a lot of support for, and a lot of people are saying, I put up a video today, a lot of people are saying, well, what about this case, and why wasn't that the uproar over this case,
you
or
can't
the 79? So as history will tell you, some cases capture, and it's not just because it's a girl and it's media driven. Some cases capture the public's interest more than others. It's just that energy that case puts out into the world. It's
also a rolling news cycle thing. It's easy to just at that point in time.
Exactly.
It was immigration.
If it gains attention, of course there's cases that need to be highlighted, but there's so many cases throughout the world that need to be highlighted, and as I said, sometimes public interest just homes in on particular ones. And we'd love to sort them all out.
I think the director of public prosecutions will appeal that case, and I think they will win.
Well, they should,
100%.
And this isn't a witch hunt on this lad either.
But
although he's done himself no favors.
Well, he's guilty.
Yeah.
Carl Crotty is guilty, bang to rights, and he should have got jail time.
Yeah.
And anyone that does a violent crime, if it's me or you, or a violent crime that against a woman like that, they deserve to be put away. They shouldn't be on the streets.
It also sets a precedent, and it sends a
bad one,
and it sends a message, and it sets an example
it
for
definitely
young people.
It sends a message to the women of Ireland that they're not going to be protected by the law.
By the law, as someone wrote in one of the comments and I thought it was a very good a comment. In the courts in Ireland, you're going to get a lot of law. You're going to get all law, but no justice.
Yeah, and look, you've got daughters. You want them to be protected.
I can guarantee you this much. If that happened, my daughter, there will be no need for a court case.
Yeah, the court case might be for him.
Well, it wouldn't be for him. No.
Yeah, and if that happened to your daughter, I might be with you.
And another thing, if it was my son that perpetrated that,
yeah.
Well, first of all, he wouldn't have, or either. He
wouldn't be getting away with it anyway,
and he wouldn't be getting away with it.
No, there's just something, but that's where it comes back to moral character and how you're raised and who's raising you, and that father has not just let his son down. He's a disgrace.
Yeah.
His father that came out and started blaming the media should have just said, "My son is guilty."
Yeah.
And the judge passed sentence.
Yeah. And the only thing that I said as well is that
that's all he should have said.
Well, 100%. But and someone said that it like this mob mentality. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of mob mentality, but I do think that on the return, this is sending out a message to the support that this lady has got, or this situation has got. I think it sends out a message to the young people, like you can't get away with things like incidents like this.
Yeah.
So I hope that this lad, he's 24 years of age. I think by 24 you're kind of
Well, he's 22, is he?
No, 24.
Is he? Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was
maybe
24 now. He might have been
yeah,
22
might
at the
22
time.
when he did it. Yeah. Okay.
I think that at that stage of your life, you're kind of your mentality is kind of set anyway. But hopefully, he's learned his lesson.
Yeah, like I said,
get through. Column. I wanted to get through to the. There was a few other things. The London thing. Do you know what? We might leave that till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Good luck with. Where now? Hold on. Found it. Good luck with that. Worked in a pub years back, and some judges from Dublin were down. One lit up a cigarette and was asked to leave, and we were told by her, the judge, there was nothing we could do to them. That just proves what I was saying about how they think that they're infallible, Colin, which is ridiculous. I mean, you can't have a two-tier
justice system. Like
you know, and we all turn a blind eye.
It's like that idea: the scales of justice can't be tipped one way or the other. They have to be balanced. Like
Colm also said, in fairness, she apologised the following morning, but her attitude the night before was, "We are better than you." And I can guarantee you, even in the morning, she thought that, but she probably had a little bit of remorse. So.
But like we're talking about the political class, it's a class system issue.
Yeah,
and. Like basically we've got lots of people in one kind of class system. That working class it's not years ago you would have been like working class, middle class, upper class. There's actually just two now. There's us regular people, and then there's echelons of high society.
And that's the way it's gone. There may have been even 4 or 5 different classes years ago, but now it's definitely...
It's two. If you don't know which one you're in, you're not in high society.
Yes, you're definitely not. I'd like to think there is someone in high society watching this tonight or in the future, but I doubt it. The only reason there was more publicity over the soldier was because he didn't get sentenced. There's been a lot of cases that people didn't get sentenced.
He pleaded guilty. But like the book should have been thrown out.
And the fact that the judge said, which is completely like bananas, that he done you a favor. He told
Natasha
that this lad had done him a favor by pleading guilty and not putting her through the court case. Well, fair play to him. Fair fucking play to him. Is there still social classes?
There is social divisions, but I just think that there is. Let's put it this way, right? The political high society class, and then you've got.
They treat anyone below that. They treat all with the same brush.
You've got that, and you've got like you've got one section of society which is the uber wealthy, the billionaire class, which are just probably different. But like when you look at the likes of Leo Varadkar or some of their buddies are the wheelers and dealers in Europe. Like they're never going to they were never really a public representative for the people because they don't give a shit about that. They're about getting as much for themselves as possible, and
personal gain. No, there's no patriotism anymore. That's what pisses me off. That's why I rant so much on these.
Oh, this one's for you, James. James Curley goes, "What class is those TikTokers into?" That's since you're a big TikToker, big TikTok star.
I'm not a TikTok star.
You're the biggest TikTok star of your generation.
The only TikTok star of my generation. Being famous on TikTok is like winning money in Monopoly. It's not worth a fuck to you.
I'm glad James was
give me heat, there. So he is. Listen, guys, we'll wrap it up. I think we're well over.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about Mayo anyway.
Yeah, listen, it's too late to talk about Mayo and London and the weather and there was something else. I can't remember what it was, but I'll think about it for the next.
Enoch Burke.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Oh, actually, this would be a good way because we started on your video.
That's another thing. I got a lot of heat for the video that I done.
Can we stop pretending that Enoch Burke is in prison for his beliefs?
I didn't say. I said in the video. I said in contempt of court because of his beliefs. and he is there because of his beliefs.
He's there because he won't purge his contempt.
Yes, I know that. But the reason he's in court in the first place. You fucking start. We've gone an hour and a half now without arguing. Don't you start.
No, this is really simple.
I understand that he's in jail for contempt of court, but he was in court because he was sticking up for his rights. So it's all stems for, and I'm not saying that he was right or wrong.
Yeah.
I do say that you have to admire someone that sticks up for their beliefs as well. That's a separate matter. Whether you believe that he was right or wrong, he is in court. What I'm trying to explain is that it's disproportionate the amount of time he spent in jail when someone like
your man should be. But they should both be in jail.
Well, they should. Well, yeah, that's also
like what I'm saying is that you can't defy a court order.
I understand that. I know that there's rules, but at the end of the day, a little bit of common sense. The court rules are there.
What would he do if he was out?
Oh, I know he'd probably defy it again.
And he'd not only defy again, he would cause more trouble.
But again, it's small. It's a small trouble compared to what happened in. Yeah,
but
we're
leaving
for this again. I'm getting too tired to argue about this. We'll definitely pick that up the next day, and I will be backfiring. Not backfiring. I'll be firing back at some of the comments that I got underneath the Facebook comments and the Facebook video and the Instagram video on this issue about Enoch Burke.
Okay, guys.
So that's it.
Colin says, thanks guys, great podcast, all the best in the coming days, and the 29th in Galway for Cowboy.
Yes, really looking forward to the 29th in Galway. I haven't done a show in a few weeks and I am pumped for it. There's a big crowd coming. There is a brilliant lineup. Myself, Peter Cassidy, Two Big Lugs, aka Adam Kelly, and Donna's playing a bit of music as well, and we have a bit of an after party as well in McNeil's downstairs. So really looking forward to it. Anyone that can come, please come. It's going to be great crack. Thank you so much for tuning in on this very late podcast. We got a lot of interaction, which is great for this late. And we will, maybe tomorrow or maybe Wednesday, we will have another one where we'll pick up the Enoch Burke debate.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching.
Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already.
Subscribe to the channel, yeah.
And there is a link there for some merch. If you want to buy some merch, that would really help us out. And
it would indeed.
We obviously have our Patreon. You don't get anything extra for the Patreon, but you do help us out, and you keep
we must
this
start
show
doing longer sketches for the Patreon as well.
But we'll do something.
We will. Listen, guys, thank you so much for watching. Till the next time, stay safe, stay healthy,
and stay away from yourself.
Good night.